You think he's going to die with it?
Well, I mean, if you have faith in the redevelopment, okay. I don't have faith in anything on the other side of it.
Redevelopment's not going to go through. It's just going to get drained off. A lot of innocent people who've been living there for a long time are going to get shuffled off.
All your followers are on the phone.
How many lines do you have?
All the day lines are tied up. People are getting busy signals in day. Nobody's calling from Fort Lauderdale, but that doesn't mean much because this time of year our signal doesn't go. It only covers about
In
half
Los
an hour.
Angeles, Lionel Raymond Williams, a former pizza delivery man, has been found guilty of second-degree murder in the 1976 killing of actor Sal Mineo. The military
Sal Mineo?
Yeah, you
remember Sal?
What was that trial?
Didn't that happen years ago?
Yes, 76.
The Marines will
Yeah,
no
that's
longer have their Friday
the
afternoon
standard
happy
operating
hour.
procedure for the
Commandant
judicial
Winz Wilson
system for
says the
3
Marines are
years.
drinking too much. More news after this.
Justice is not swift.
Fred, it's
They'll catch a hillside
midnight.
strangler in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Will you stop eating and go to bed? You'll never get up in the morning for work.
I can't get to sleep. I took
Did you ever meet Ted Patrick?
Wide awake.
Well, what did you
The time he did give his press conference in Miami and he had made all his accusations, the people at Channel 10 and Channel 4 and Channel 7 had all called him, asked him if he'd come over to Star Island. He said he would. Channel 10 went to the motel Channel 10 and Channel 4 went to the motel where he was staying, expecting to pick him up and carry him over to Star Island. And when he got there, he said, no, he's not going to go unless we let go of
So what else
so-and-so.
happened at the office today, Fred? Did you get the order for that new job? Fred?
I would love a
These
chance to
girls
talk
that
to
sell
him.
flowers out on the corners here, are they movies?
Take compose. See on them.
Are they the same? I haven't seen that.
Compose is available at all
That stuff is probably partially funded by.
We've seen some people come by, even come by Star Island with army blankets and white robes and what have you, but they've been...
Young women are said to travel in groups.
What about the children of Jesus?
See, there is there's a spirit that millions of people identify with in seeking after spiritual understanding, as opposed to military understanding or political understanding or economic understanding. And true, it's manifested in so many millions of people. It can't be denied that it does exist. Now the question is, the Krishnas, the Munis, the children of Jesus, the Coptics, the Catholics, everybody has to be considered in the same way. Who's doing what? Who's guiding the people? Who are the people listening to? Who are taking this and just going, here's this week, here's this week, and sticking out, The people are going to have to decide because
Well, I tell you what really bothers me is these slow but sure takeover of all the independent and non-allocated TV channels by the various TV ministries. Boy, I'll tell you, it's watch some of the stuff
would you believe that we're trying to do the same thing?
And you should see their equipment, though. You should see the equipment they have got. I got that Christian network.
Do you know Ted Place?
NBC to shame.
Do you know Ted Place? Do you know a man named Ted Place from Miami? He has something called Ted Place Ministries.
Non-denominational.
He's like a little Billy Graham. He's a local Billy Graham. He and I had a 1-hour television program, this To the Point with the two Shirleys. It got hot. Because I said, you and men just like you are responsible for the lack of respect amongst the people of what's called church, of what's called religion, what's called faith. Because you've watered it down and said, oh, don't worry about your sins, folks, don't worry about judgment, don't worry about that, just close your eyes, kneel down, open your mouth, and
In Miami right now,
I don't have any one that I particularly, I'm the most knowledgeable a Catholic because of my own experience. The others I just sort of touched on for a few years before and never really got into any one of them so much.
I'm Andrea Ellison, Winz News Radio.
Hold that door shut, fella.
I'm trying to maintain the purity of our cause and not don't really have any association with any of these other groups.
Back with Brother Love here on Winz Newsline with Stan Major. Before we go to your telephone calls, and I must say that the people in Miami have responded. All those lines are tied up, so people in Miami or Dade County are getting a busy signal right now. All three lines from Fort Lauderdale and Broward are free, which is kind of strange. 764-0707 if you'd like to talk with Brother Love. I always take the opportunity, whenever I get that opportunity, to talk about the radio and the TV ministries. Right. Because I think that almost to a man, they are the biggest ripoff going today. I don't know whether you heard, I know you listen to the show occasionally, but I don't know whether you heard the night that I had the fellow on from Dallas who was with, I think he was a member of Baptist organization, Southern Baptist organization. He had made a statement with regard to where television and radio religion, or religion on television and radio is headed. And he's quite disturbed about it. The first person that I've run across within organized religion who actually came out with an indictment of the, let's tuck a little something in the envelope,
Right.
Grandma.
I mean, it's possible to pick up a newspaper and see a little ad in the corner that says, if you wish to be saved, check here.
Mm-hmm.
And send us your name and address, and what you don't realize is 2 weeks later you get on somebody's mailing list, and 3 weeks later they send you a statue, and they say, well, if you don't want it, you can send it back, but you owe us $15 now.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts out slow, and I consider it to be a highly
You get the prayer shawl before the statue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's what it is. It's a ripoff. And the Bible, all right, who are the false pastors? Who are the false shepherds that are feeding the sheep and leading the people astray? Remember, the people are listening to the Billy Grahams and the Popes and the Reverend Ikes and these, I don't remember their different names now that are showing up on the TV all the time, and yet the people aren't healing. The people aren't becoming less sinful as a result of hearing these people.
Do you believe in faith healing? Is it possible?
Faith is a required part of healing.
Yes, but does somebody lay the hands on and heal, or is it a self
Yes.
healing
It starts in your heart. It doesn't start in the next man's
You
hand.
ever watch this guy on Channel 51 on Sunday, who has the people come up, the blind people, the crippled people, and
I used to
does
watch
his
a man
thing
named
every
Oral
Sunday?
Roberts. I don't know if that's the same one.
He built a university to himself and got a good basketball team, and he's all
Right.
above that kind of thing now.
Right.
He got legit.
See it there?
But
Did
you
you read-
turn on Channel 51 on Sunday morning and see some of the garbage that goes on. The thing that is so disturbing about it is it becomes so blatant.
Right.
Because if they don't get the money to buy the time, it is Satan who's responsible for that. And so the only way to fight Satan is for the little old ladies over on the beach
Right.
to tuck $5 or $10 into an envelope every month.
That they seriously need for their own lives.
Sure.
Did you ever hear the story of this
And just
man?
think, if every little old lady in this country took just $1 in an envelope to a minister,
Oh,
think
man.
of how much money that minister would have
Right.
in 1 week.
And that man would not be a minister, he would be an economic agent.
I'm in the wrong business.
No,
Here I'm suffering every night here. I've got to come to work, and I'm suffering every night. And I sent off I'm an ordained minister. I sent off to Tennessee I sent my $5 off.
Right.
I'm Reverend Stan Major.
See it there? They had one out in California that was
Yeah.
50 cents called the Universal
Well, I
Life
got
Church.
chipped, you see. Mine cost $5.
But did you hear about this
I
man?
could have been a bishop for 10, you know.
This man, his name, I don't know his full name, but his stage name was Margot or something.
Oh, yeah.
When he was 4 or 5 years
Gettner.
old, he was trained.
Marjo Gettner.
Right, he was trained in the ministry, and his mother was hiding down with cue cards and what have you, and they billed him as a gifted child.
He's a good
Made millions off him. And when he reached manhood, he stopped that. When he said his own words were that he realized that he would rather be a professional actor than to be a minister, because professional actors put a sign up on the door and say, "This is a play.
Mm-hmm.
I am acting in the play, and you have to pay $4.50 to come in and sit down and watch me act in this play, even though I'm not the person I say I am. I'm just acting." He felt more moral, conscious goodness in that than to stand up and say he was a man of God and just stick out his hand and get what he could get.
But he's not rich today.
I don't know what he is today, but I'm sure his conscience is a lot freer.
Let's take some phone calls for Brother Love. Here in person, friends. Hello.
Good evening.
Go ahead, sir.
How are you, Stan?
Yes. Ted Patrick, is that who's calling?
No,
Okay.
I'm somebody that happened to be in the car and listen to all that junk. But first of all, to you, Stan, it is place, first of all, and I'm not proud to say it, to have this kind of talk, because it's humiliating to ships, if you can call that way, the people that are humble enough to feel as ships. And you are the responsible one for this kind of talks.
No, I'm just the messenger, sir. The man you have to hold responsible if you disagree with him is Brother Love,
Well,
you see.
if you are the messenger, so you are a messenger of somebody else.
Well, sir, if you are a sheep, who is your shepherd?
My shepherd is the Lord. As this kind of priest says that there is a Lord, but the only thing that I'm concerned is the humiliation that is being given to the consciences of humble sheep-like people. Instead of feeding them with real grass, you are feeding them with not too good grass.
I love it. I love that.
Because
That's very good, sir.
this kind of grass, I cannot eat it with as lettuce and tomatoes and vinegar and oil and things like that. Give the people real grass, not this kind of bad weed. This
Sir,
is the time of the siege.
Sir, you go into your pasture and you eat your grass with your salad and vinegar oil,
Right.
and I will stay on the mountaintop and partake of my dinner of herbs.
Oh, but this kind of,
And I'll smoke my stinking cigar, sir.
what was that?
And I'll smoke my stinking cigar.
Sir, you're calling...
Well, the thinking cigar, anybody can do with it in an elevator. But I don't think that anybody would like to see, besides you,
Sir, what bothers you about what Brother Love has said tonight?
that is not harmful.
Huh?
It is harmful. Very.
You mean, now wait a minute. If Brother Love did not involve himself with marijuana, if just forget about the marijuana right now,
Okay.
what has he said during the first hour of the program that you so obviously disagree with?
Being a shepherd, right? Why? He had to give people marijuana to feed them.
I just said, sir, if you take the marijuana away and forget about it, then where is your difference of opinion with what Brother Love has said?
Because he's talking about that's the real topic, marijuana, being a priest.
In other words, you cannot differentiate the sacrament
we evade the
with the
topic
man.
of marijuana if he's talking about marijuana, being a priest. If he was not a priest, I don't care about him talking about
Sir, do you know how many Roman Catholic priests are alcoholics?
the same thing with marijuana. It's an addiction.
Are you a Roman Catholic?
What?
Are you a Roman Catholic?
Does that have anything to do with...
Yeah, I think that we can ask people their
But the
particular
majority of the
religious
people-
beliefs tonight because that's what we're discussing.
They are Catholic. Doesn't mean that they are all Catholics. The majority of the people, if he says 75 or 80-something% smokes marijuana, that doesn't mean that they are all Catholics.
Sir, I am not a Catholic. I was brought up in the Catholic Church, and I rejected that when I was 17 or 18 years old.
In a priest,
Yes,
shepherd,
exactly.
why is he trying to say that his followers should smoke marijuana to be saints, be like close to God or something?
Well, let me ask you a question. When you take communion, what is the wafer that you take? What is it made of?
Well, you're talking about...
No, I'm not talking about the philosophical or theological.
marijuana.
I'm talking about what it is and where it comes
Why,
from.
being a shepherd, he wants...
No, you won't answer my question, will you?
What was that again?
You won't answer my question.
Go ahead. Maybe I will.
I just ask you, what is the little wafer? What is that made of that the priest puts on your tongue after you when you take that sacrament?
When I took that sacrament, I didn't know what it was all concerned.
All right, but it was something that is made by human beings. It's a manufactured product, is it not?
It was pushed in my mouth.
Uh-huh.
It was shoveled into my tongue, and I just had to eat it. But today, I'm old enough to differentiate what is marijuana and what is not marijuana.
Okay, sir, thank you very much for your call. The simple point that I'm trying to make is that you don't believe in the wafer on the tongue.
No.
You don't believe in the grape juice, as
No.
the Methodists or the Presbyterians do. And you simply believe in something which happens to be controversial and at this time illegal. It may not be illegal 10 years from now.
It also happens to be something that the same God who made apples and oranges made. In the first page of the Bible, Genesis 1, verse 29, that says, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon all the face of all the earth." Marijuana is a herb. It was made by God with a purpose, and millions upon millions of people from every walk of life have agreed that that purpose is to be smoked and shared by man.
Stan Major.
Yes, I'd like to ask our brother Love a question. He sounds like he's fully, I guess you would call it, enriched with the Bible. And I'd like to, you said you'd like to ask people what denunciation they are. And I was brought up Roman Catholic. I'm a practicing Catholic, and my father-in-law is a Lutheran minister, Missouri Synod, and a very devout minister of religion. Okay, now my question is, in the Bible it states that the two commandments of God are you must love God with your whole mind, your whole soul, and your whole heart, and you must love man as yourself is the second commandment. Okay, and I guess some people could look on marijuana as a prejudicial type of drug, that you're using. They could use prejudice against your holy Eucharist, so to speak. Understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Now it's proven that marijuana is a hallucinogenic drug.
Who proved that?
Well, it's through chemical breakdown.
Excuse me, marijuana is a herb. When you break it down, you find seeds, leaves, twigs, and roots. Now, who told you that it was made up out of something different than that?
Well, on a comment that you made earlier, you said if you took a large quantity of marijuana and broke it down and made it into a pill, it could be as harmful to you as say LSD.
Exactly. Any natural substance, any natural herb you see is made perfect by itself, and it has its properties in itself. It's not meant to be tampered with, it's meant to be enjoyed.
Right. But large quantities of marijuana could cause somebody to hallucinate if they were a beginner at
Well, what's the point?
Excuse me, have you partaken of large amounts of marijuana and hallucinated?
No, sir, I haven't.
You're listening, and you are listening to a myth and a superstition, and I, as a man who have partaken of marijuana as much as I can for several years, can prove to you that that is a lie.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, sir. I said somebody who's initially using the drug.
It's not. Why do you keep calling it a drug? Who made it a drug? Drugs come from Liggett and Myers and Rexall.
All right, if you want.
Herb.
Initially using the herb.
Good.
It could become a hallucinogenic herb.
How would it affect me, never having smoked any, if I had some real strong marijuana?
Anyhow, you have the herb, and you blend it with other herbs, seeking after a communion with those you're going to share with. It will uplift you greatly.
Yeah, but wouldn't it affect a person who has never smoked it much more than it would you or somebody else?
Let's talk. Well, I don't want to cut off the caller, but we should talk about the effects of smoking.
I'll cut him off.
All right. Well, the effects of smoking has been widely battered around. When I partake of herb, I experience, through a sharing of a spirit with those whom I partake with, I experience a desire to pray, I experience a desire to fulfill the same 2 commandments the last caller spoke to, that you should love the Lord God with your whole heart, and the second is like unto the first, to love your brother as yourself. I find the thought of war, of killing, of vandalism, of robbery, of oppressing my brother, I find that more distasteful every day. When I partake
All right,
of the herb,
but what about a 17-year-old girl at Coral Gables High School? She is not smoking pot, either with the same psychological outlook that you have as she goes into it, or possibly in the same way.
Right.
She's smoking it for a different purpose.
right? And you're going to have to blame society for that. And you're going to have to educate the people to the proper use of herbs, since they already have come to the acknowledgement that it is proper to use the herb. Now they must get the understanding of the herb and stop having it treated as a drug, have it known to be a herb, have its properties well brought forth, and stop having some people thinking it's a blessing and other people thinking it's a curse, when it can't be both.
Would you favor the legalization of marijuana?
I would favor the complete freedom of marijuana, free of all restrictions called tax, penalty, or persecution of any manner. But I don't want to run from your question.
We can't do that in this
I don't
day
want
and age.
to.
We have to tax it. We have
No,
to tax
it was free at one time when the history students read
Are you
George
saying that
Washington's
a
history.
12-year-old kid should be able to go in and get marijuana at a drugstore, purchase it?
It does not belong in a drugstore. Make them go to the
where are we
agricultural
going to
market.
get it? Where are we going to get it? Wherever we would get it.
It comes from the
You're
earth.
not putting any limitations on the
None
use of marijuana.
whatsoever. No, not any more than there are on oranges.
Do you think somebody should be able to drive down the Palmetto Expressway after they've had a couple of joints?
Exactly.
You really do?
Exactly. And millions of people do. And if you think that the people that are smoking the 12 tons of marijuana are sitting in their home and saying, oh, I can't drive. No, man, this is something that our people realize, our generation realize, is a beneficial, mild herb that has spiritual qualities, but those qualities do not include drunkenness. They don't include revelry. They don't include stagnation. They don't include...
Brother Love, I've been to pot parties. I have not partaken myself, but I have witnessed the smoking of marijuana, and I'll guarantee you that I would not want to be driving on a Palmetto Expressway when a couple of my buddies got in their car after a pot party.
Well, have your buddies...
Not drinking alcohol, just having a couple of joints.
Well, what's happened to your buddies?
They've had too much marijuana, man.
Well,
They're stoned.
have they mashed up their car? Have they killed anybody? Have they...
Well, not I don't know at this stage.
Well, I'm telling you right now that if you go out on the Palmetto Expressway, you're probably going to see if you see 10,000 cars, there's probably marijuana being smoked in 6,000 or 7,000 of them. And not just by the young people only, by lawyers and doctors and judges also.
Well, I would hope not.
No, sir. The marijuana has been called a controlled substance, a contraband, what have you, by a set of politicians. There's been a lot of us people trying. Remember, there was a time in our lifetime where the United States government made a movie called Reefer Madness, where they said that if you smoke marijuana, you would kill people, you would become insane. Then they stopped saying that, and they said, okay, that's not true. But now we say if you take marijuana, you must take heroin or you must take LSD.
We don't say that anymore either. We
Well,
said that 7 years ago.
Good.
We
Now,
said that 10 years ago we said that.
That means that your eyes are open at least to this
Not
point.
my eyes.
that
The public's eyes is open.
The public's eyes have been open to the point that lies have been told on the marijuana already, and only some of them have been revealed. And I'm telling you that there's a lot more lies that have been told. And when the truth is known, you will see people, myself, yourself, freely partaking or not partaking of the herb as you see fit, without any governmental interference.
It's the first
whatsoever.
time I've heard you say that that you advocate the unlimited availability of ganja, and it bothers me.
I
It
advocate
bothers
the
me 'cause
unlimited availability
I
of
don't
oranges.
believe the kids ought to be smoking. I really don't.
Now, as a wise man, and you're in your house, you have a loaf of bread. You know your children eat bread. You want them to have some bread, so if you just leave the loaf of bread out on the table, they'll eat it all, they'll destroy some, and when you come in, you'll have no more bread. So as a wise man, you put your bread up out of reach. When you want someone to have some, you slice off what you want them to have, they have their piece, and you put back what you don't want them to have. In a conscious man's home, the child isn't an adult. He doesn't have an adult's understanding. He must be guided by an adult. by a wise, conscious, loving adult.
I wish it was that way.
Well, that's our
afraid it
prayer and
isn't.
that's our fulfillment. You see,
I
I'm
think
not...
that's looking at the family structure in this country through rose-colored glasses in 1979.
No, that's looking at the Coptic family structure as it is.
Yeah, but you see, if you make unlimited availability of marijuana to everybody of any age,
please,
nine-tenths of them are not Coptics. That's the problem.
I'm not going to try to belittle the wisdom that you're talking about. There are people that abuse the marijuana. There are people that smoke the marijuana while they drink. There are people that smoke marijuana when they take drugs. There are people that smoke marijuana and try to bring drunkenness or bring unconsciousness upon themselves. Those people need education. They don't need to be put in prison. They need to understand what they're smoking. I would like every smoker...
I agree with you there.
I would like every
agree with you
smoker
there.
in the United States of America, the next time you smoke any marijuana, mix it with some tobacco. Smoke it. Don't abuse yourself. Smoke it similar to how you see people smoking cigarettes. Draw it in and breathe it out through your nose. Make it affect your head and not your stomach and your body. It's not a physical sensation, and it's not meant to get you drunk. Mix it with tobacco and see if the same herb you smoke will not give you a spirit of revelation, a spirit of prophecy, a loving spirit toward your brothers and sisters that you already know about from the herb, and you will not get stoned. And if you don't believe me,
do that.
Go to Jamaica. No, the smokers who hear this understanding and who are serious take every other part of the world except America as an example. It is the standard practice in every other part of the world to smoke 20 times as much marijuana as the average American smoker does, yet because it's mixed with tobacco and other herbs, it is not considered a drunkenness.
Let's go back to the phone calls. Hello.
Hello?
You're on with Brother Love. Go ahead.
Dan?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have two questions for your guest. And after I give them to you, then I will hang up and get his reply on my radio. Now, the first question, number one. Does the National or World Council of Churches give you any assistance in your work? Question number two. Did the Reverend Terrence Wright, who was convicted here for his connection with marijuana, have any connection with your organization? And that's all. I'll stop and listen.
First of all, I do not know the gentleman who say Terrence Wright. I do not know that gentleman. He's in no way connected with Coptic now, or neither has anybody by that name ever have been. As far as the Council of Churches helping us, yes, the Council of Churches helps us in the fact that last year, the National Council of Churches, along with the Bar Association, the National Advisory Commission on Criminal Justice, the American Academy of Family Physicians, the American Civil Liberties Union, and several other national commissions set up by Mr. Nixon and other presidents have all favored the decriminalization of marijuana. So although the Council of Churches has never had any dealings with the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church on a paper level, their endorsement of the marijuana certainly endorses our position.
What about NORML?
We've talked to some of the local people in Miami about NORML, and they've helped us with supplying different documents and what have you. I don't necessarily agree with the overall NORML position that I understand is saying, or some factions of NORML on the national level saying they're representing marijuana and cocaine. Cocaine is not a herb. Cocaine is not a natural substance. Cocaine is a white powder that was a natural substance a long way back, but it was boiled and put in alcohol and whatever is done to it to produce a little white powder. So the faction of NORML that is true to the marijuana and seriously agitating, we support that effort, but we haven't had any joint projects yet.
Doesn't bother you that NORML is basically funded by Hugh Hefner?
I didn't know that. That doesn't bother me. It's the nature of the work that's being done that I'm interested in.
Okay. Hello.
Hello?
Go ahead, sir.
All right. Hello, Brother Love.
Yes?
I'm
You're
fine.
gonna have to turn your radio down, sir. We're not gonna be able to proceed.
All right, just a minute.
By the way, my guest tomorrow night will be you. And we'll have an open forum tomorrow night. Ralph Rennick will be with us a week from tomorrow. Okay?
Hello,
Go
Brother
ahead.
Love.
Yes, sir.
I drank a lot of alcohol in my day. I class myself an alcoholic. But one night I was pretty well vodka'd up. And I was where they had about 20 ounces of marijuana. And we were passing it around, smoking it. And I told them, I says, I can't feel this. So they kept making me a joint. I smoke it, make another joint, I smoke it. I don't know, I must have smoked around 20 of them, 30. And it didn't affect me too bad. My head felt like I was up in outer space, but after all, I'd smoked a lot of marijuana. But there's one thing I can say. Anything that'll stimulate the mind will affect the mind, and alcohol has always given me a hangover. But with marijuana, it never gave me a hangover, and I think 1 or 2 or 3 joints, people smoke it, it won't hurt them.
I agree with you, sir, and I think that if you would smoke a joint every time you felt that urge to go for a drink, you would find out that 5 or 10 or 20 joints won't hurt you.
There's one thing it'll never do, never give you a hangover.
It will not only not do that, it will not have the effects on your liver, your stomach, your lungs, all the different parts of the body that alcohol attacks.
I absolutely agree with you. On top of it, I think if the younger children did smoke marijuana and stayed off of that cocaine, they would be a lot better off.
Thank you, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
If I might say one thing, there are many medical studies going on today in different parts of the world claiming that marijuana is the most effective cure for alcoholism.
Second only to Coke.
I don't know about that.
Coca-Cola, I said.
Coca-Cola. The herb has an effect that uplifts the spirit of man. When you see a man put a drink in his hand, he wants to uplift his spirit. He's trying to do it chemically and alcoholically and artificially, yet that desire to lift up your spirit is not wrong. It's what people are using.
Will there be a second coming? And will Jesus smoke ganja?
The Christ will eat oranges, drink water, and smoke ganja, yes. No doubt whatsoever.
You heard that first here, friends. You heard it first.
He will have long hair and a beard, and he will be coming with his rewards in his hand to reward every man according as his works will be.
Okay. Let's take our commercial break here while I get over all that, and we'll be back with Brother Love and your calls and questions for him on Winz Newsline with Stan Major.
If you're building, decorating, or just plain curious, we have the show for you.
Those are some interesting callers. You couldn't have put it together a more varied group.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a bunch more in.
I always have a very good. The next one will be a lawyer who's a Roman Catholic who's going to sue our ass. Never fails.
Tomorrow night from 7 p.m.
There's some lawyers going to sue me over my comments about the Virgin Mary.
For what?
When I said that I had doubts about Mary being a virgin, he wrote a letter to my boss. He was going to sue me.
I love it.
You know? Can you believe that?
There's a lot of asshole attorneys.
Yeah.
I'd say probably at least...
But the funny thing about it was, this guy is so sharp.
Stan, we're gonna have to break once more before the top of the hour because we have printing spots and other restaurant spots not on the screen.
At least.
When are you coming back?
The service is fast.
He
We are a breakfast customer. When you need
sent us the wrong letter. He had written a letter to the Bishop, what's his name? And he sent us a carbon copy of our letter and the original of the letter to the bishop.
Right.
Real sharp.
That's my favorite thing here.
Misspelled words in the letter.
This was an attorney?
Now treat yourself at the Ranch House restaurants of Dade County, the leaders in great taste and value.
Was this the 60 Minutes one that you won?
Folks that want the very best. I got a little weakness for the chocolate cake here. I like that.
Maybe we can get a Xerox side.
At Rothschild's Hall of Big Man Shops, high and sunny.
Didn't we send away for it already?
It's already sent away for.
Impeccable service.
I want to get to next week too, where they gave the update on it. They talked about the plane landing in Governor Graham's field.
Great sport and dress shirts, expensive much more. At Rothschild's Tall and Big Men Shops, 163rd Street, North Miami Beach, 441 in Lauderdale, Beachway Shopping Center, Pompano Beach, West Palm Beach, and Fort Myers.
All right, we're back. Let's continue with your calls, your questions for Brother Love. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Dan?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to your guest. I'd like to ask him, make a statement to him, as one of the quotes from the Bible. It says, give to Caesar what is Caesar and give to God what is God. How do you translate that, sir?
Your heart belongs to God. Caesar is the name of a government, of a state government. You don't want to go to jail, so you obey the laws and you live within the laws of your land. Now, when politicians frame mischief and call it law, when they set up something that they call law, yet is not a law of the people, then that doesn't warrant the same respect. So we do give unto Caesar. When the road says drive 55, we drive 55. When they come by and they say they want taxes for the house because they put a street light out there and because they sweep the street, we'll do that, yes.
What about your marijuana plants in the backyard?
Those were robbed. That was a first-rate larceny by the police.
Sir?
Yes?
Was not Caesar a dictator? He did not represent the government. He didn't represent the people. He represented himself. And you are saying that our government does not represent the people.
Exactly.
Then if you believe that this quote is true to what Christ said, then you would mind the law and not smoke marijuana.
Do you smoke marijuana?
No, I do not.
Is that because of the law?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but my opinion, my religious beliefs, and the law too.
Would you smoke?
The Bible.
In other words, would you? Well, no. When you say the Bible, from the time you're reading the Bible, and on the first page of the Bible, it talks about a herb with seed being your spiritual meat, and on the last page of the Bible, in the book of Revelation, it talks about God giving a tree for the healing of the nations. From the time you read the Bible, you'd be directed to smoke. You'd find that knowledge in yourself. But I want to ask you, if the law were changed tomorrow and it was free to smoke, would you smoke?
No, I would not.
Okay. You would continue to drink wine?
Yes, you could say that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Can I say something else?
Sure.
About why don't you? We'll go to King James Bible. Did not King James translate the Bible to fit his own needs?
The Bible has been handed down to civilize and Christianize the people. There's no chapter of the Bible known as the chapter of King James. The Bible has been translated, yes.
But it has been changed to meet the needs of. That's why King James did change the Bible. The King James Bible came out because King James wanted to change it to fit his own purposes in the world.
You see, the Bible...
I've got a lot of people holding on. I don't really want to get involved in the Bible interpretation. If you're going to start in on that, I'll say I don't believe anything in the Bible, and we'll go from there. Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Brother Love said that God made apples and oranges and marijuana, but God also made arsenic and strychnine and poison mushrooms. And but let's forget about the poison. Everyone knows that when you smoke anything and fill your lungs with smoke, you're not getting enough oxygen. And he's teaching people to be very unhealthy. Let's just look at it from the point of view of health-wise. And for him to call himself any kind of a minister and to teach wrong things and to break the law, to me, the whole thing is idiotic. And this man is a good orator. It's unfortunate he didn't use his talent, and he has to hide behind something like that. He hasn't got the nerve to face life and do something constructive for himself.
Ma'am, the National Commission of Marijuana and Drug Abuse...
What you've been talking about is marijuana. I'll be honest with you, I'm not interested in marijuana. I'm interested in you as a person and your influence on other people.
The American Medical Association...
And to everyone else, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Okay, ma'am. Goodbye. What is all this about you being infiltrated by the Miami Beach police?
There was a time a couple of months ago where, on a joint effort, as we understand it, by the Fort Lauderdale and the Miami Beach Strategic Investigative Unit, a man who was a known felon and had been arrested on some different charges was made a deal that if he would try to infiltrate 43 Star Island and the Coptics, that he would not have to go to jail. And he came amongst us for a couple of days, and after he was there, he took me aside and told me that the police had sent him there, that having come there, he found people that were more the type of people that he had wanted to be himself, and therefore he could not go through with it. And we had a major press conference at 43 Star Island, and he gave statements to lawyers and to all the news, and the police finally verified that, yes, they had sent him there for that purpose. But the man came and found something that he decided he loved more than the policeman's deal. So he gave a press conference, informed on the police, and left town.
Have they attempted to do that since then?
Not to my knowledge, but no one aside from people that we know has been coming in anyway, so they wouldn't be able to.
Okay.
That is costing the police and the state attorney's policies concerning the Coptics is costing the taxpayers a very pretty penny in Dade County.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, me?
Yes, you.
That's fine. I think I heard Brother Love say because it's either a weed or it's a grass that grows and it's not synthetic, so it's God's doing and it's permissible. There are many. How about foxglove? That's doing a lot of good to a lot of people.
What?
But if everybody took it, they'd get sick. It would do them more harm than good.
We didn't understand what you said, ma'am. What was the name of the...
It's what digitalis is made of. The foxglove.
Oh, I'm
It's a
still not familiar
herb, a
with it.
foxglove. It grows.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't suppose poison mushrooms would be good for you either.
Well, sister, why isn't there a law against poison ivy?
Yes, and poison ivy. See, it grows by nature, but there's good and bad, and we have to differentiate which is good and which is bad.
Well, now, the 6,000 years of history of man partaking of herb has convinced me that it is good.
Not all everything that grows is good. If that was so, then why we are afraid of poison ivy?
Everything that grows is good within understanding. You don't want to eat poison ivy. You don't want to smoke poison ivy. There are some herbs that you drink. There are some herbs that you eat. There are some herbs you wash with, some herbs you season with, some herbs you wash your clothes with, some herbs that are poison to you, and yet we've got the collective experience of 6,000 years of wisdom to guide us.
Well, I don't know as much about the Bible as you do, but I don't think there's anything in the Bible, in the Old Testament, that tells us that the marijuana, or whatever you call it in the Bible, is partaken of and will do us good. And the most irresponsible thing about it, why get children used to it? I think life to children should be very beautiful as it unfolds itself. I can understand that tired businessmen, older men, or frustrated women would want a pickup at the end of the day. But a child's life is different. The experience is what is beautiful to a child. Why not introduce things that are good for him, that will develop him, rather than stone him or keep him from trying to use his little brain?
Have you smoked marijuana?
Have I? No, sir. I don't smoke, period.
Well, who made
I think it's filthy.
Who made you such an expert on it?
What made me an expert?
Since you haven't experienced it, how did you get your expertise?
I know, but 200 million people can't be all wrong, dear.
Well, that's how many smoke.
But the very fact that the officials don't necessarily smoke it and deny the average person, they don't deny to the average person.
Well, ma'am, in your present state of mind, I would not suggest that you...
Aside from the marijuana, what do you teach your young flock?
What
do you teach your young flock?
Basically, that what we teach ourselves, and anybody who cares to listen, is that they are living in a mad, drug-oriented, sin-sick society, overly permissive. There is absolutely no chance...
Teach your children that?
If you I do not send my children to a school where they are taught that it's normal to masturbate. I consider that to
No,
be...
honey, I think you're too base. I can't continue with you.
Okay.
What is this thing you have against masturbation?
It's what
Now,
I
you
have...
talk about, on one hand, you quote the American Medical Association and national commissions.
Right.
But you will never find a psychologist, especially a child psychologist, who will agree with you on masturbation.
Masturbation is suicide. Every man has a seed of life inside himself. Every man has the ability to create life. Life in man begins with a seed. Life in the apple begins with a seed. Life in the gun. If you saw me out throwing a handful of tomato seeds into the ocean, you'd laugh at me. You'd tell me I was an idiot. I was wasting my tomato seeds. Well, what happened to my seed of life? Now, you've heard a lot of people refer to
you're not talking in medical terms. You're
I'm talking in direct terms.
Philosophical or theological terms.
I'm talking in the seed of life, the substance that comes out of you that you place in a woman that brings forth life. Your semen, your seed, whatever word you care to call it.
Well, you seem to be overly concerned about masturbation, aren't you? You have
Not only
mentioned
masturbation,
fornication,
adultery, sodomy, any misuse of the natural creative power that you've been giving is it's sinful, it's unhealthy, it's immoral, and it's what the Bible is all about, telling people to avoid these things and showing that every society that existed that became a world power fell through the corruption of their own bodies. Sodom had sodomy, Greece had sodomy, Rome had sodomy. They had all of the excess they wanted, and their kingdom was taken away from them.
Do you believe that the crime on the streets is a result of the sodomy? Or do you believe that vice versa?
The Scripture says
that our moral outlook on life now
is decrepit. The Scripture says, "From whence come these wars and strivings amongst you? Is it not from the lusts among your members?"
Yeah, but if everybody in the world stops masturbating, are we going to have heaven on earth?
You're going to be one step closer. You're going to have a lot less death. You're going to have God be a lot happier because God gave man a seed of life for creation.
You're trying to tell me that if there was no masturbation in the world, there'd be no crime?
That would be the most major step toward fighting crime anyone ever took. Stan.
What about legalizing heroin? Wouldn't that help a little bit?
Why would you want to exonerate a chemical, addictive, murderous substance like heroin?
Because people are being murdered because they have to get it.
Now,
people on Miami Beach are being murdered because drug users have to get heroin.
Exactly.
Isn't that more of a problem than the drug user masturbating?
Not one bit, because there's something happened to that man's conscious spirit. Something turned him around. Something made him leave consciousness. And when you check the source of what most young people are doing in America today, in the same America where everybody says the youth are out of control, the youth are wild, the youth have no respect for the parents, the youth don't care about this or that, it's because the youth have a natural body. We're all born with a body. The youth are supposed to get natural understanding, and in the primary things of substance, their own body, their own natural life, they're being misguided. They're being taught it's all right to masturbate, it's all right to be gay, it's all right to have oral sex, and these things are all chipping away and eroding and degrading the morals of the American people. That's the lesson of Rome, Egypt, Greece, Sodom, of every nation that ever walked, that the people lost their ability to govern themselves through moral corruption. And we're saying that corruption is another word for sin. Moses' law is in the Scripture in the Old Testament. The Christ came in the New Testament and he said, I didn't come to break any old laws. I didn't come to make any new laws. I came to fulfill that which is written. The lesson of the Bible is that when you sin against God, you lose your blessing. And without your blessing, you can't govern yourself, much less your family or your community or where you live.
All right, let's continue with your questions for Brother Love. Hello.
Hello?
Go ahead, ma'am. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I have a question for Brother Love. In fact, I have many, so I don't know where to begin. One, can you achieve that spiritual, mystical union that you speak about without marijuana?
I've been in jail before where I haven't had any marijuana, and it has not eliminated my ability to pray. Yet the thing is, marijuana is a substance that God made for a purpose. So why would you want to deprive me of that now?
Well, I'm just not sure about the purpose.
Well,
I'm not at all sure. My own assumption about what things that exist in nature is obviously very different from yours.
have you smoked marijuana?
Wait just a moment. To me, nature is neutral, and it has to be neutral. It is neither good nor bad. Hence, we can exercise our freedom of the will. It must, by force, be neutral, not good or bad. I would assume that the evil or the good that comes out of smoking marijuana is in the man, not in the bottle or the pipe or the herb.
Excellent. I agree.
And I would also like to ask many questions. One, I haven't experienced suicide, but I count myself an expert on it because I'm alive. Another...
Sister, have you read in the Bible about...
Just a moment, let me finish. Your numbers doesn't impress me either. 1,000,000 times 0 is still 0.
You should read in the scripture about the walking dead, people who look alive, yet inside themselves their spiritual life has been snuffed to the point that they only move about physically. Their spiritual senses have been deadened.
Good heavens, that's Miami Beach he's talking.
And you should read about those who come the sins of the intellect and the half-truths, and that those who come sheathed as an angel of light.
I have been brought up in a society where I have experienced that on every side.
Sir, you appear that way to me. Good night.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Let's take our last commercial break here, and we'll go to the last couple of phone calls on Winz Newsline with Stan Major.
Hooray for Horatios. Although we didn't have to say it, you and the critics already did, and why not?
One thing about your questionnaires, they never give short, concise questions, do they? That one was a rare exception, the woman that asked the two questions.
Yeah, but it's really a variety of...
Absolutely.
I haven't heard anybody call and say they want to be a Coptic.
I haven't heard anybody call saying, where can I get some of that grass, man?
You've never smoked?
Nope.
Never ever do any drug?
Nope.
Oh, we're back. All right, let's continue. I forgot we just had one commercial there. Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Brother Love.
Yes.
I'd just like to congratulate you on your ministry. I think it's really a super thing that you're doing. You're really pouring a really good effort into the community to help make more aware the people of what you're trying to do.
There's a good marijuana smoker.
I have been following you quite closely for quite some time. I think you should definitely come out with another copy of the Coptic Times. That was a very informative little piece of literature that I think made the community much more aware of where you're at and what you're trying to achieve. And I'm just basically behind you 100%.
Do you like marijuana, sir?
I smoke marijuana every day to the extreme for about 10 years. I've been smoking.
It sounds like you've been damaging your brain a little bit to me.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think I'm very competent, and I have...
Yeah, but have you talked to your friends who knew you 10 years ago?
Yes, I have.
And what do they say? Oh, they're as stoned as you are. Don't worry
No,
about it.
they don't say anything. I'm the same person that I've always been, Stan. I mean, we're talking about marijuana. Marijuana is God's sacrament. This is not some
I see.
that does damage to your body. It has been medically proven that marijuana does no harm to your body whatsoever.
Any friend
You
of
can
yours?
smoke your brains out every day, and it's not going to do anything to you. You don't build up a tolerance. It's just God's gift to man, is the way I look at it.
Okay, thank you very much for your call.
May I continue?
No. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Brother Love.
Give him hell, sir.
Well, you're right about that damage to the brain, Stan. Senator Eastland supervised a 420-page federal report covered by 20 medical scientists on the havoc that marijuana does to the brain and the system. Now, these organizations, Brother Love, that you mentioned here are not federal agencies. They're phony outfits. The American Association of Medicine, that's a phony. The other one, the one on the National Association on Marijuana, is not a federal agency.
Are you calling Mr. Carter a phony?
What's that?
Are you calling President Carter a phony?
Oh, now wait a minute.
Well, he gave an address before the 95th Congress on August 2nd of 1977.
Listen, Brother Love.
Yes?
Now you get there's a Narcotics Anonymous at 72nd Street and Biscayne Boulevard. If you want to get some real true facts, and I advise it to stand to get in touch with those people on the havoc that marijuana can't produce. I have been a smoker. I've heard 6,000 case histories. I know hundreds of hardcore drug users, and they started with pot. Now, this is a whole big phony thing. The National Association of Marijuana, that is not the Drug Enforcement Agency, which puts the whole thing down. Now, there is a federal report on the dangers of this drug, and this man can cause a lot of havoc talking of telling the kids to go out and smoke it.
Sir, you keep all the federal reports and I'll keep all the marijuana.
What's that? No, Stan, why don't you get in touch with one of the, it's a branch off of
Sir, I'm out of time. Thank you very much for your call. By the way, I did an extensive 48-hour special on that very report that the Stennis Committee did, and I had interviews with several of the doctors, including the one in London that was quoted rather extensively. And I tend to disbelieve what they came up with. Although there are always two sides to the story. We are out of time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry you didn't start responding a little earlier. We might have been able to get to your calls. Brother Love, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
I don't agree with you, but I agree with your beliefs, and I hope that you will go ahead 100%.
Well, I believe that, I know that through an opportunity like this to talk and to discuss things at a reasonable length, the people of Miami will have an opportunity to hear something.
Better than 40 seconds of TV time.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much for being here. My guest, Brother Love. Tomorrow we'll have an open forum. You'll be able to call in and comment about what you heard tonight. Stay tuned now, because only Alan Burke could follow Stan Major.
If you don't think we're getting ours,
got it here. Let's do it.
Yeah, we can make a copy of that for you. Don't tell anybody I did it, though.
Okay, you ready? There he is.
for posterity.
My record's running out. Thank you, Stan.
Okay. Anytime.
Excuse me.
Okay, brother, take it easy. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And be nice to the cops, will you?
Right.
We're on pretty good terms with them.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
I'd say familiarity breeds contempt.
Long distance friends.
Never saw anything like this yet.
That was good.
The living man is here, huh?
You see it?
Sometimes those things go by so fast. I have to go back and listen to it now to find out what really happened.
Yeah. Yeah.